Okay, this is Mr. LaBelle again. I'm doing the Unit 13 corrections off the test. The test was complex numbers, which was Unit 8, solving quadratic equations, Unit 9, solving nonlinear systems, Unit 13. That's the section I'm going to focus on, is Unit 13, and then polynomial operations, Chapter 5. So I'm going to focus on solving nonlinear systems. It's going to be a system of a linear equation and a quadratic equation, and we're going to solve it here. But we're going to have to use, when we actually get to the final solution, I'm only going to get the x's. You can always later plug in the y's. But I'm going to have to make sure that I get everything simplified, so simplest radical form, complex answers, and all that kind of stuff. So that's the part that seems to have hurt people in this test. So number 31. The system was y equals x plus 1 squared plus 7, and y equals negative a half x plus 1. So since they're both equal to y, we want to see where they cross. We can set them equal to each other. So, and another little note I have is x plus 1 squared is x squared plus 2x plus 1. Okay? So that will help us here. So I'm going to write it, I'm going to replace this with this here. So when I do that, I'm going to get, that's a y, so I'm going to get x squared plus 2x plus 1 plus 7 equals, and I'm going to put this y over here, negative a half x plus 1. I'd like to get everything set to one side and see if I can factor or complete the square or quadratic formula. So I'm going to have to, here's a mistake a lot of people made. They knew that they should add it over, but they for some reason subtracted it, and I'm going to line it up with the x's. And then subtract the 1. Most people did that. And so you get, well, it turns out positive 1 and negative 1 cancel out, so you're left with a positive 7. 2 plus a half is 2.5. 2.5 is 5 divided by 2x, and I get x squared, and this is positive there as well, and that's set to 0. I'm not a big fan. Since it's set to 0, I can multiply both sides. I can multiply both sides by 2, and really it's going to be similar result for where they cross. So I'm going to multiply everything by 2 so I don't have to deal with the fraction, and I'm going to end up getting 2x squared plus 5x plus 14 equals 0. And you can do whatever you like here. Completing the square probably isn't going to be that nice because, again, we had this 5 over 2. So I'm just going to use a quadratic formula. And I'm going to do that over here. So remember, A equals 2, B equals 5, C equals 14. And I'm going to get, I'm just going to put some separation in there. X equals negative B plus or minus the square root, might run out of space here, b squared minus 4ac. Whoops, I wrote the formula in, but I should probably put parentheses. Squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. And let's put those numbers in. 2, 2, and then that's that one there. And then if I do a different color, red is 5, and then let's say green is C, and that's a 14, goes right there, and you're multiplying. So we'll simplify that thing. X equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root 25 minus 8 times 14 all over 4. 8 times 14 is 112. So I get x equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 112 all over 4. 112 minus 25 minus 112 is 87, negative 87. Now I'm going to flip the screen here because I'm just running out of space. Turns out, remember, I is the square root of negative 1. So really quickly here, this is really I root 87. So I'm going to do that on the next page. So x equals negative 5 plus or minus I root 87 all over 4. If you want it in standard form, it turns out root 87 is a prime number. 87 is a prime number, so you're not going to get any perfect squares out of it. So in standard form, a plus bi, you're going to get I root 87 over 4, and there's your answer. Okay, that was 31. I'm going to go down. I'm going to start 32 here on the next. I'll put a line here. Number 32 is virtually the same, just different numbers. You have a system, and it's y equals negative 1/3 x squared minus 6x plus 1. And I have y equals 2x minus 7. And so we know that they're going to equal each other, so I have 2x minus 7 because that's where they cross. And a lot of people get to this step here. Okay? I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. I'm going to add 7 to both sides. And so this side becomes, the left side becomes 0. Negative 1/3 x squared minus 8x plus 8. Now there's choices here. Some people went from here to the quadratic formula. I decided to multiply everything times 3. And I'm going to write that on the next screen here. So I'm going to switch the page. I'm going to get 0 equals, I should multiply by negative 3. It's going to change the signs and make that x squared positive. So I'm going to get x squared. I'm going to get plus 24x minus 24. If I go back, I think that's the sign changes. Yeah, this should become plus, plus, minus because there's a negative sign. So we're okay. And now I know, the numbers look a little nicer to work with, so I'm going to add 24 to both sides. And I'm going to complete the square because the numbers aren't too bad. So I'm going to go half of this is negative 12. Then I'm going to square it, and that's positive 144. So I'm going to have to add 144 to this side as well to keep it balanced. And when I do that, I get 168. So, I'm not a big fan of, but I got that whole thing ready there. So, turns out I can take the square root of both sides. Don't forget the plus or minus on this side. And that gives me, well, let's just check here. What's 168? 168 is root 4 times root 42. This is root 6. This is root 7. That's a 6. Which is root 2 and root 3. But there's no pairs here, so it's not useful. So I'm going to This is going to stay as root 42. Turns out this is the normal 2. So this is 2 root 42. That's as simple as you can make it in simplest radical form. So I have on this side here, this root 168 is plus or minus 2 root 42. And I get x minus 12. Sorry, that shouldn't be a minus, that should be a plus. I totally messed that up. I just noticed that if you caught it, great. This should be a plus sign. How do I know? Because that was a positive sign right there. That should be a plus sign. Now I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. And I'm going to flip the x and put it on this side here. So my final answer is x equals negative 12 plus or minus 2 root 42. There's my answer.